Hey guys, so today isn't going to be a normal kind of video where we talk about the lore. Today we're going to be talking more just the hobby of 40k. I'm kind of curious, are y'all lore junkies? Do you play a lot of 40k? Do you mainly just build and paint? Genuinely curious? Let me know down in the comments. Now, my personal history with the hobby is much more geared towards the lore. Growing up, I simply just couldn't afford it. Then after I moved out, started my own life, I was able to jump in during 8th edition, and that's where the majority of my actual playtime took place. Then the Great Plague of 2020 hit, and I, like many other people, were just unable to continue the hobby for life reasons. And then GW did what GW loves doing, and they raised their price. In the middle of a plague, in which many people lost their jobs, and were struggling to find one because no place was open, let alone hiring. Now look, I get it, GW is a business and making money is their goal, but that kind of ruined my desire to give them any more of my money, because while it's their right to choose the price of their product, it's my right to go find a new product. I don't know, for someone like me, I just look at the price of GW's models, how often they change the rules to make certain models that are coming out OP, then nerf them the second they actually hit the shelves and people start buying them. I don't know, it's kind of driven me away from GW as a company, but at the same time, I still love the lore of 40k. I still love 40k. My problem isn't with 40k, it's just with the GW company. So flash forward to after I'd gotten a job, gotten back on my feet, wanted to get back into 40k. Like I mentioned though, wasn't too keen to give GW any more of my money, so I went looking for alternative routes. I took the money I'd saved up for the 10th edition starter box, waited until the Saturn IV Ultra I wanted went on sale, and bought myself the printer and a couple bottles of resin. So, small little editor's note here. As you can see, this printer is now $623. I don't know if I just got it on a really nice deal, but when I picked it up, I spent $430. I got the printer, the wash station, and the curing station for $430. I also picked mine up around Black Friday, so maybe if you are interested in starting 3D printing, wait till Black Friday, because even this bundle down here for $619, that is a lot more than I paid for it. So just a little heads up there. I'm not gonna lie to y'all, I'm not the smartest of cookies, and trying to get the settings dialed in took me several weekends of pure frustration, and the original printer I had bought, the screen actually died within a few prints, so that was upsetting to say the least. While they were nice enough to send me a screen to replace the one free of charge, I think I messed something up during the replacement, because even now part of my build plate just has a lot of trouble with bigger models. So I got irritated, and where most rational people probably would have just went and found a different hobby, I just ordered a second printer, the standard Saturn III, and I fucking love that printer. It's amazing. I did eventually get the Saturn IV Pro working again, but I constantly have to level it, constantly got to tweak the settings, and I've gone through more FEPs on that thing than I think is probably normal, but I'm still kind of new to the hobby, so. And I'm a caveman. I'll also admit that. However, on my Saturn III, I've hardly ever had to replace the FEP, maybe had to level it a couple of times, and I've barely ever had to touch the settings even fresh out of the box. While the standard does print a little bit slower than the Pro, I found it's just far more reliable, and especially if you're wanting to print any vehicles, the Saturn III is definitely my go-to. Also, I don't own any fancy equipment to verify this, but I actually think I get a much better quality print on my standard over the Ultra. 100% not a sponsored video, but if you were thinking about getting into 3D printing, I can't recommend the Saturn III enough. I would 100% stay away from the Ultra, however I realize there's going to be people like me that see the Ultra, think the name Ultra automatically means better, and just go for that one. If you do go that route, I 100% recommend ordering some clear FEPs, because it comes with this one that's got a cloudy film over it. It's got a special name that I can't remember right now, but it's supposed to make it print faster, and it just ruins the quality of the model. So here's a few things that I printed out. I realize I'm probably confusing to people because my avatar is a Grey Knight, my favorite Primarch is Angron, and on the tabletop I play Minotaurs. My life is a madness, don't question it. Anyways, what do y'all think about 3D printing as it pertains to 40k? Do you think it's good for the hobby? Do you think it's bad for the hobby? Personally, I love it, but that's because I wouldn't be able to afford the hobby otherwise. Let me amend that statement. I wouldn't be able to afford as much of the hobby. I use a little bit more expensive resin in the Frozen 8K, which can run you about $45 a bottle, which is all the money I have a month to spend on the hobby if I'm lucky, and I can't even buy the rulebook or a codex with that. But I could buy a single character model or the old school company veteran kit. Nothing else though. I'd have to save up for 2 months to be able to afford a single squad, minimum of 3 to 4 months if I'm talking saving for a tank. Or I could just buy a single bottle of resin, print out a couple of characters, several squads, a dreadnought, and a tank to support them all from a single bottle of resin. Plus, it's opened up options like the Tyranids for me. The only reason I didn't want to play them was because I couldn't afford to buy and play a proper Horde army. Now I could just print out my own Horde, which, spoiler alert, found some good files, so I am totally doing that as we speak, but that's our little secret, don't tell anyone, okay? If someone walked up to you and asked to play a game, then they said that their entire army was 3D printed, would you reject that game? Would you still play the game? I also want to clarify, I'm not talking about tournaments either. If you are going to an official 40K tournament, unless it's at your local game store, and whoever was running the tournament gave you the green light in advance, you shouldn't be taking 3D prints to tournaments. Long story short, I love 3D printing. It's allowed me to continue to play 40K. However, I could understand people not wanting to play someone with a 3D printed army, especially if they just power game the fuck out of their list and printed off the best units in their codex and nothing else. No one wants to deal with that nonsense. Don't be that guy. But I'm just a scrub, so take everything I say with a couple grains of salt. I'm curious to know y'all's thoughts on 3D printing. Let's have a talk in the comments. I got the audio for the Curse video done, just got to edit it up. Look for that tomorrow. I'm going to be doing another video before we hit the Alpha Legion because them boys just confused my little brain, so stay tuned for that. Otherwise, have a wonderful morning, day, night, whatever. Deuces. Wait, the books are only $10?